Okay, everybody, live we are, and we're getting ourselves ready for this week's episode of Talkin Con, which I've got to be said, I'm very excited about because we've got ourselves a great guest, who's had himself a busy old time, and very much looking forward to talking to Declan Shalvey. He is going to be talking about a whole bunch of projects which he's got on the cards at the moment, including a new release book, which he's got currently doing, coming out very shortly indeed, which is his volume 2 of Time Before Time. He's also got a new edition, which is going to be part of Image Anthology. So that's all new as well. All in all, it's looking like it's shaping up to be a very interesting episode as well. Going to be talking about the road to San Diego as well. Kind of getting myself sorted about that as we speak, as you can probably hear me clattering away in the background. All in all, it's going to be a fun one. Hello there, everybody. We've got Andrew English who's watching. We've got ourselves Into the Blue Mister as well. If you're commenting now, that means you are basically a subscriber, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much indeed. Continue to do so, and I will be forever in your debt. And we'll do our best to kind of keep you abreast of everything that's happening, especially as we get closer and closer to San Diego Comic-Con. One of the things I'm kind of prepping as we speak is our countdown, because yes, not that long to go really to San Diego Comic-Con. So we're going to be talking about how we're going to be preparing and how we're going to be getting ready to get ready for this year's show. And we're going to be calling on you about the topics that you want us to talk about as well, because, you know, at the end of the day, you are the best resource out there. And I can only do what I can, and hopefully you'll do your little bit as well, because that way we'll be able to kind of all help anybody who's heading to San Diego Comic-Con. Have we got our countdown done? Good God, it's that time. Okay, let's press the button and we'll get back to it. And we'll talk about San Diego Comic-Con and our guest after this. Hello there, everybody. Welcome along to Talkin Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. My name is Leonard Sultana, and each and every Sunday at this time we talk comics, Comic-Cons, and all the fun and games that we get to enjoy at such shows. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. If you are watching right now, you're either a long-time watcher, and thank you very much indeed for coming back and seeing us again, or you may be a first time. Maybe you've seen Declan's retweet and you're joining us for the first time. Basically what we do is we kind of count ourselves down to some of the major conventions that happen around the UK, because we'll be counting down to Thorvald when that gets closer, count down to MCM as well, we'll count down to Lakes, we'll count down to ICE, which I've been told, I have been confirmed I'm definitely going to be doing panel hosting for Shane at the International Comic Expo as well. Looking forward to that. End of this month, I'm not going to be going to MCM in London, but we do have Mark Serby, who's going to be going and covering that for us. But I'm going to be attending Lawless, which is a cracking show, and really looking forward to talking to some interesting people there, including Brian Boland. Intimidated? Me? Yeah, I'm bricking it, but I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun show. So that's what we get up to here on the show as well. We're also going to be covering our countdown to the big event, San Diego Comic-Con. We'll talk about one or two news events and updates that came out of the preparation for the show from CCI at the back end. So stick around for that. And we're also going to be talking about our road to San Diego as well, our ongoing news series as we prepare everybody, new and old, returning to San Diego for the first time after a fair few years. 87 days to go. Yeah, it's the countdown is on. So we're definitely up for it. But what we want to get into right now is our special guest, because this is somebody who I've been excited to talk to for some time, because Hell's Bells, he's been a busy chap, and he continues to be so. That's because he's incredibly talented, and it's great to have him on board. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Mr. Declan Shalvey. Hello there, sir. How the devil are you?
Hey there, how's it going? Thanks for the kind words. I didn't realize it was on screen. I was trying to sort out my mouse.
Oh right, okay.
That's how.
It did look like you were fiddling with your belly button there for a second.
Yeah, no, I got a wireless mouse situation, and it wasn't working in time. And then I thought nobody was looking, so I could maybe sort it out. But no,
well, you know,
and never now everybody knows.
Well, if there's anything that I'm very happy to do is throw anybody under the bus. So you know. That's my job done and dusted for the day. Fantastic.
If there's anybody who's often thrown under the bus, it is I, so it's fine.
Well, I mean, let's cover a bunch of things first, because, like I say, busy chap. But I know that a number of people who have been kind of glued to pop culture and social media over the last month at least have been thoroughly enjoying Moon Knight. So we'll get that out of the way first. Sure. Before we dive into the other stuff, first thing I want to know is how surreal was it to be on the red carpet for the that sort of like the preview of Moon Knight when you went over to see that?
That was pretty shit. I know. No, it was mental, man. Like, I mean, you know, I never thought that was going to happen. And
well, I remember the last time we kind of saw each other at a convention, and I think it was Lakes. And we were sort of like sat by side, and it had just been announced that they were going to do it as a series. And you just went, I didn't even know.
Oh, yeah, sure. You don't tell you this shit. Like, no, absolutely not. No, I did not know. You know, anything that came out, like, was news to me pretty much. I knew Mr. Knight was going to be in it maybe 2 weeks before it was online, but that was that wasn't any official kind of like, hey, just to give you a heads up, I happened to be hired to do a bit of artwork for the style guide. So they sent me some reference, and there I could see Oscar Isaac in like the Mr. Knight costume. I was like, holy shit. So that's how I found out. But no, the premiere itself, I mean, it was crazy. Like it was in this beautiful El Capitan theater, and like there was the red carpet in there. Although there was red carpet for the actual celebrities, and then there was a red carpet for me and my sister, which was like this kind of backward, way at the back red carpet. But hey, the carpet was red, so it counts. But then there was this whole common area where they had the two suits, the Moon Knight kind of mummy-ish costume and the Mr. Knight costume. They had them like displayed there, so like I was actually looking right at it, like the costume, and it was just nuts, like, you know. But no, yeah, it was savage, and yeah, the theater was beautiful, and they played the first 2 episodes, so I got to see Mr. Knight popped up in this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was the first 2. That was it, and I missed my name the first time, and my sister saw it as I was looking at it, going, "What do you think?" Because it was gone like that. But then they played the second episode straight away, and so they played the 2 credits, and so I caught my name in the second one. So yeah, so I saw my name on the big screen, but yeah, it was insane. It was very, very weird. Apparently, there used to be like VIP parties afterwards, but since COVID, that's all gone. So
yeah,
it was slightly anticlimactic at the end that there wasn't any kind of anything crazy, but like it was still pretty nuts. I have where is it? Oh yeah, 1 second.
Yes, I can imagine you guys just sort of like pouring out of that cinema.
Sort of my Moon Knight cap from the premiere.
Yeah, and just sort of like going, okay, pub.
yeah. No, I went to the hotel bar and like, yeah, I had some. I partook in some liquid, but yeah, no, it was crazy. I'm really glad I did. It was amazing. And I got to take my sister too, like who, like nobody would know like everything, my whole journey as a comic book artist, and more than my sister, you know, who maintains that the reason I've done as well as I am is because she's been telling me that I'm shit my whole life.
That's what sisters are for.
This
is what siblings are for. Yeah, I get this. I've got a younger one that has done the same role. I get it. So I mean, that's all. I mean, we can really kind of beam, smile, and really be happy that Moon Knight is on the screen, and you've seen Mr. Knight, and you've got this part of your work on the screen. But let's get real for a second. Have you actually been enjoying it? Because we're now on episode 4. Have you actually been? Because the response that I've been seeing online, it's been very mixed. But in much the same way that the reaction to Legion has been, because it's a mindfuck. It really comes at you.
Okay, that's interesting, because all I've seen is good stuff. But at the same time, I mean, I'm biased. Like, when people ask me what I thought at first, I said I honestly don't know, because my experience was seeing it like in LA on a movie screen. You know, like I literally had to ask my sister, like, was that any good? Because I just couldn't process it. You know.
Sure.
But my mom's loving it, and I've watched the last 2 episodes with her, like just in her living room. And yeah, I've enjoyed it. Now that the kind of shock is over, I am enjoying it. But at the same time, I kind of have enough. I don't know, it's tough to switch off your brain as a fan, going like, "Is this what that is?" And I'm trying to enjoy it for what it is. You know, like some people have complained to me that like
a sense of detachment and watch.
Yeah. I mean, because I don't like, you know, it's not. Like, other than Mr. Knight, there's not really much from our run that I can really see.
Sure.
But, you know, Moon Knight's been around for decades and decades, so, like, you know, they're not going to... 6 issues is very small in the long run, which is why, if I'm being honest, I didn't expect there to be any Mr. Knight. Everyone was saying, like, oh, they're definitely going to use that. But I'm like, I was not convinced until I actually saw it was happening. But no, now to just watch the 4th one, I think it's a weird show, and I like that you don't need to have watched any Marvel stuff at all to enjoy it. And I like that they're not just trying to do, you know, new Captain America or new Thor or whatever. They're developing whole other sides of the Marvel universe, which there is a lot of.
Sure.
Yeah, the fact that they're using the Jane Foster Thor stuff and She-Hulk and Ms. Marvel now, like, I think it's pretty cool they're leaning into the new stuff, you know? Like, I feel there was a real creative renaissance happening around Marvel at that time, and I don't think it's any surprise that that's all the stuff that they're adapting right now.
Sure. I mean, for me, the 2 things that I've been taking away from it is, number one, as off-kilter the characters are, the audiences as well, they're getting slapped about in much, like I say, much with Legion. You're just like, 1 minute you've got one tone, next minute you've got another, and you've got all of this barreling at you, and everyone's kind of like offset and put off guard, but so is everybody else. So it feels, instead of that regular tempo that you would kind of expect, and you kind of got that maybe with the first couple of episodes, however weird and sort of like the way it was doing the whole multiple personalities and the OCD and the way he was kind of being introduced, it's quickly started really kind of jolting you around like a very weird roller coaster ride. It really just kind of like starts shifting.
Which I like. I mean, if you're going to say Legion is the thing that's been compared to, like, I think that's great, because Legion, I think, is best. Yeah, it's the best thing that the adaptation of Marvel stuff that's happened. Like, that was so wildly inventive.
Sure.
Like, and annoyingly, I found Legion as a show more inventive than a lot of the X-Men comics. Which...
Oh no, I think I've talked about this on the show before. Legion, I guarantee, was ordered by Fox because somebody turned around in an office and said, "Let's get a Marvel show on. Let's get into the superheroes thing."
Oh yeah, probably.
And the channel that put on American Dad and NCIS suddenly got this thing thrown at them, and they must have watched like the first season and gone, "What the fuck have we got?"
I love Noah. Was it Noah?
Noah Hawley.
Yeah, I mean, I love stuff from Fargo, and he's amazing. Like, if you're going to do a Legion show, it should be that, not something very conventional. And same with Moon Knight. You know, why do something conventional when you have a very unconventional character? And you can, and the cool thing is you can do this kind of unconventional stuff now in what would be like the mainstream Marvel stuff has now come out, and it's now mainstream movies. So, you know, they're always going to keep doing that, which is fine. But like, there's so much more space to do weird stuff that could be hugely successful. So they'd be silly not to try it. And I'm impressed that they're leaning in as much as they are. It's pretty cool.
Sure. And the second thing is, I'm really curious to see how they're actually handling actual gods, considering that up to now we've learned that, you know, gods are aliens. Magic is science, and it kind of like, it's that molding of the two. We're dealing with actual gods here, so I'm curious to see how that's going to play out. I'm loving it. I personally I'm loving the show. So
yeah, I like how I didn't ask you at all. I clearly I don't care as long as I'm happy.
No, it's. I mean, like I say, it was great to see Mr. Knight on screen, and not only that, but also Oscar. I mean, I guarantee as well, because he's one of the showrunners, and while there's obviously, he's one of the executive producers. While there are showrunners determining the tone, I guarantee that Oscar Isaac, listening to him in interviews, he's determining some of the tone that's on screen, and there's that real. I mean, the whole dancing and jibing bit while he's getting ready to fight. Yeah, that's
yeah.
Oscar
Well, it kind of strikes me that, I mean, and this is just a pure guess on my part, like that he's having more fun with an IP than say he got to do with Star Wars, which you know, sorry for the hardcores, but like, well, it wasn't much of a role for a fucking brilliant actor that he is. Like, I can't remember the first thing I saw him in, but it was a film with him and Viggo Mortensen, whatever his name is. And it was like, there were him and his wife. I can't remember who the wife was, but yeah, he was some kind of con man in Greece or something. It was like, to me, he's a very indie actor who's made huge successes. So the fact that he's doing this, I don't think he'd need to do it unless he was going to have fun with it, and I think he's clearly having a ball. Like, I mean, if you're an actor, like, he's basically, how many roles is he playing in that thing? Like 2 different superheroes, 2 different, a mercenary and a nebbish dweeb, you know, like, and even like, I mean, my mom was saying at one stage, she's like, when he switches from Stephen to Mark at one stage, and she's like, oh, God, like, look, how did he do that? And like, he's acting, you know. So I don't know. It seems like he's having a blast. He's having a blast.
So yeah, great to see that on the screen. But I can imagine that has been one of the many distractions you've had, because we're talking about a whole bunch of stuff as well, including the books that you've got coming out. I've been a fan of Time Before Time from the second I saw the first page.
Cool.
What you and the team are doing, because I mean, you can tell, because I also got because I came in via the Kickstarter as well, so I got the artist.
Oh, right, the
process edition. So I mean, that's a great book as well. It's a shame. Is that available for public releases? Can anyone get hold of that?
Nope. I mean,
no.
There's some left over, but I figured I'd wait a while before.
Sure.
I mean, I just don't really have the time and energy to. There's some left over. I probably will sell some in print.
Well, I'm hoping it gets included as part of, say, like a hardcover when it gets done. You know, so like a big.
I mean, that's probably not going to happen, because the book, the book would need to sell. This is the thing. Like, the hard fact of it is, if you want to get the omnibus, you have to get the trades. You know, waiting for omnibuses means you'll never get that book, because like, books need to sell in order to like, if the numbers aren't there to support, because those things are expensive to make too. So don't be wrong, I'm not saying it would never happen. Like, I definitely have the material there to do it. Like, what I'd love to do, is do an omnibus will have all that stuff in there. But like, for just being realistic, then I'm not making any plans. You know, like, the main thing is that the actual books do well. If they do great, then I'm sure Image would be more than happy to do an omnibus when the book's over.
Fair enough. Because what I was leading into was the fact that process edition really did kind of delve into the team effort that has gone into putting this book together, and your writing process, and the way it all kind of barrels together, and the way that you tackle scenes and then hand them off to each other, and it's a real to and fro, and it's absolutely, it's not your book, it's everybody's book who's involved.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Really, really, really cool.
I mean, I like as someone who, you know, say with something like Old Dog that I'm doing on myself, it is great to just kind of make a thing create the space for people to do what they do really well. Like, it's really rewarding to kind of be able to kind of offer that kind of space for people to tell stories. And yeah, the fun part of Time Before Time has been working with everybody else, like Rory and Joe and Sasha and Chris and Haas. Like, it's definitely a team effort for sure.
Sure. In that regard, then, because you've got the second volume on the way. When's that drop, by the way? Volume 2.
It's out now. I think it was out last week.
Cool.
Yeah. So Time Before Time Volume 1 and 2 is out now. Go pick it up. It's a great book. It's brilliantly illustrated by Joe Palmer, who I think is a revelation. And co-written by Rory McConville, colors by Chris O'Halloran, letter by Hassan Osmane Arau, designed by Sasha Head, edited by Heather Hantus, and that's everybody. Yeah, that's everybody, and me. I'm there too. I co-write and do covers, but it's that to me is me and Rory wanted to be able to kind of write something long form, like even in anything I've done for Marvel, it's been like short miniseries or one shots. So that's been a great book to just like have an idea and just kind of flesh it out and mess with it and take it to all the directions you can take it. It's been really fun.
Sure. I have been particularly busy over the last couple of months, so I've been using volume 2 to kind of catch up, because it is those issues that I've been kind of missing. So I'm about halfway through volume 2 at the moment.
Okay.
Which I've been reading over the last couple of days, and it has taken a couple of days to read it as well, because the one thing that I've really enjoyed is the fact that while visually dynamic and it is beautifully rendered, there's a lot of story in there. It's incredibly well packed. It's incredibly, you've really got to get your head around and kind of keep a real track of what's going on. Just how easy or difficult has it been for you to keep a track on it, or has there been a number of emails going backwards and forwards, just going, okay, whereabouts are we?
It's pretty easy for me because I just ask Rory. Like Rory does the hard work, to be fair. So we'll talk story over initially, like over the arc, and then kind of break things down from there. But like a lot of the nuts and bolts of figuring things out is what Rory's doing. Like I can't take credit for all that. Like a lot of the excellent dialogue work is Rory, and like working out the kind of particulars of it all. Like, because I'll say like, oh, well, what if this happens, and he'll have to actually work out how that does happen, because we do have established rules, and you can't, break them. And there's the character story with Nadia and Tetsuo and Kevin, and there's this kind of larger crime story happening around them. And then we have these one-shot stories where we kind of pop in at different places. Like I drew a story that took place in 1994, and which hasn't been collected. And next month, PJ Holden's drawn a story that's
nice.
That takes place. It takes place in the original 2141, where Nadia is missing, and her FBI partner's like, where is she? And he's trying to find her. So it's pretty. There's a lot of stuff happening at the same time, but ideally you should be able. I mean, the whole point is you should be able to follow, even though time hops around. The story is linear, if that makes sense.
Sure.
But yeah, we do try to get a lot in there.
It's been great to see the callbacks as well, even to the literally first page of the series as well. So it's been great to see characters come back and make their presence felt.
The kind of advantage of doing a time travel story is you can tell it. You can show a flashback, but all you're really doing is showing the past. Like, there's technically no flashbacks because you can't flash back in time, but we can show you the past, future. Sure. Like once we kind of worked out that time stamp device, it made it like a fun thing to do, where you can literally have characters looking back at their past, like literally look back at it. You can show the past, something that happened in their past, and you can show the character looking at it, which is, those are kind of the fun time travel stuff that you can do. It's really satisfying.
Cool. I think we asked about this because when I think the last time we had you on the show was, I think it was just as the book was initially dropping, when we first when the first kind of issues were getting released.
Was I on with Alex that time? Was it?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time ago, man.
Wow. It was. Tell me about it. Well, I mean, I think we asked back then how far you'd travel, how far you'd plotted it out at that point. And I think you'd said that you plotted the first first 3 arcs. I think you said, or you'd really gotten the nuts and bolts together with the first 3. Since that time, and since you've had the story develop, have you stayed true to that kind of roadmap, or have things kind of shifted and warped and weaved?
No, it's changed since. I mean, originally the plan we planned to go 1 volume because that's all we knew we could possibly do. It's like any series, you've no idea how long it's going to go, so you have to basically plan a crash landing at the end of the first arc. But when the series was coming out, we had good signs sales-wise that we'd be okay to go longer. So I think, when I was talking to you, we were thinking we could probably do 3. But the current plan is to do 5.
Whoa!
We have. Nice. I mean, we're in the middle of 3 at the moment, in stages of being drawn right now. So soon we'll be starting volume 4, and I think we're going to land with issue 5. Will be the last. Well, that'll be the last arc, I would say, and then there'll probably be another trade of the one-shots that we do in between. So there should be, by then there'll probably be 4 or 5 one-shots that we collect afterwards. So we're about...
Go.
So I'd say we're about halfway through the overall story. Ultimately, for us, a lot of it just comes down to just the logistics of how much we can afford to do it. If the book sells great, we would go even longer because there's just so many ideas there. But ultimately, it's just kind of how long can we keep the train on the tracks for? And while we thought maybe we'd only be able to do it for 1, it's looking like we're going to get a few volumes. So I'm really, really happy about that. Because again, the point of doing this book was kind of to do some long form storytelling, and it's really cool to be able to do that. So I'm really, really happy it looks like we can really take it as long as we would have liked to.
Cool. I mean, dare I ask, to be indelicate, how have sales been doing so far?
No, no, they'd be great. I mean, they'd be good. Otherwise, we would, if they were shit, we'd be cancelled. Or we would have cancelled ourselves because we can't afford it. But no, they've been good. I mean, I'll take more. I'll always take more. Don't get me wrong. But no, they've been secure enough where we've been making money up to this point. So I'm really, really content with that. Again, when we just didn't know if we'd make it past 5 issues. So now we're on what's now? We're handing in 12 now, and 13 is drawn, 14 is being worked on, and 14 and 15 are being worked on. So that's already 3 times more than we were even thought that we would get initially. So no, I'm delighted. But no, I'll always take more sales. So if you haven't read the book, please do. I think it's a really, really good one. And I'm not saying that because it's me. I am a part of this larger project. But I think that the people I'm working on it with have been just exceptional.
Well, I am not part of the larger project. I am not part of the creative endeavor to behind this book. Buy this book. Check this book out.
Look at that artwork. Look at that Joe Palmer.
He's not lying. It's a hell of a thing. Well, it's a well executed. I think the thing that impresses me as it goes through is just it doesn't feel like and sometimes with time travel stories and sometimes with some long form narratives, it sometimes feels like the stitching of the parachute as you're falling. This feels solid on every page. It's incredibly well crafted, and it's definitely the train is on that track and it's barreling ahead. And I think it's a really solid story. And that as a reader, you feel confident reading through. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, no. I mean, I'm glad to hear that. It's you because you never it's the act of making these things is where it kind of gets fleshed out. But like, again, I mean, I have to credit Rory for a lot, as much as it pains me to credit somebody else. I mean, Rory, like, I'll kind of throw stuff out now and then, like a kind of a weird curveball, or like, oh, maybe you should do this or whatever. But like, Rory's been just so good to kind of like nail down all the so many specifics and a lot of the kind of intricacies of the different time zones. But I mean, ultimately, like, I read it more as a crime story than a time travel story. Like, time travel is the device in which the crime story develops. But like, but I think the advantage of it being a time travel story is you can have some more interesting crimes, or you can kind of play around with things in a way that a straight crime story wouldn't. Like, you can have a robot transforming in front of you, that kind of fun stuff. Like,
Sure.
like, it's really cool to like mishmash those genres together, and just from the, I don't know, I just feel like from cover to cover, like, it's just so well crafted from a design and art point of view that I have had a hand in. Don't get me wrong, but like with Joe and Sasha, and I just think the book looks fantastic, and I'm biased. Like, I think the book deserves more attention than it gets. I know I'm biased, but like, I see all these other books get like press that I'm like, I just think this is one of the most original books that is on the stands, and I'm not saying that to flatter myself. I just think everybody else is doing a great job.
No, I hear you on that one. I mean, I think when the book first came out, a lot of people threw Looper.
I did too. Like,
but
yeah.
I mean, you could tell from this that if you did pull anything from Bat, what you actually you say that you see it more as the crime story, the politics and the intricacies of Looper would have appealed to you more than the time travel stuff.
Yeah.
So I kind of get that, but
sometimes the time travel stuff,
much more to it.
The story can be about the mechanics, which can be fun, but overall it can get very convoluted, and and it happened a lot when the first book first came out. Everyone was asking very like technical questions, and like,
really,
that's why our rule that like you can't change time, you can't, because that's whatever the first thing everybody wants. Like, oh, what if you change? Like, nope, just nip that in the bud, because that is not what is interesting about the story, and the restrictions of that, you can't change it, and you've got a character who's obsessed and thinking that they can, and we're telling you that you can't. And and this guy's going on this journey, and like, you as the reader have been told they can't. So I think that's more interesting than like, well, what if you went back to this time and changed that? Like, everybody does that, and it's totally fine and it's fun, but that's not what we were interested in doing.
Yeah, but I think I've reached that very page, by the way. So we'll leave.
Oh, really? Okay.
We'll leave that kind of there. I know the character you're on about, and yeah, I definitely sense that. I know you could also tell you're having a lot of fun with Kevin as well, which is the robot we're having on.
Like, I will say,
I'm having a blast with him.
I've written some Kevin bits, but I can tell. Yeah, when Rory writes Kevin, like, I think I've written back to Rory, like, you're having too much fun writing this guy.
Cool. What would I don't want to ask this question because it always seems disingenuous, the whole idea of where would you like to see Time Before Time go, because I always would want to hear the answer, no, this is a comic. I'm happy for this to stay. This is a comic. This is the way I design.
Oh, you mean like not like film and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I can really see this as a real strong manga animation. But then again, then we have the whole conversation about the way that animation's treated at the moment, which
was apparently great until like this week. Yeah, like, I'm hearing brilliant things about animation. Then Bone got fucking cancelled. So if Bone can't get made, what chance does it really have? But no, like, look, I mean, if it was made into something else, sure, but like, that's not. Honestly, I wouldn't have thought animation, but like, actually, that would make a whole lot of sense because of Joe's work is so strong in that kind of designed element. Actually, yeah, that totally would. I mean, I probably would have thought like a TV series, a Looper looking type TV series, probably was in my head, but like, that's I mean, that's somebody winning the lottery and then winning the lottery again. You know,
Yeah.
we got to make the book. That's the first lottery. So I'm like, if something got made, if I'm being honest, like I don't care what happened to it, as long as like, well, it would be nice if it was good, but I'd prefer it make increase sales of the book so we can keep doing the book. You know,
Fair enough.
That's ultimately, I think, the best reason for a comic to be made into a TV show is that more people will buy the comic. You know,
Well, that's
it's
the
a great
ideal
it's a
world,
great
isn't it?
advertisement for the comic.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, no, I don't. So I don't really see it as anything beyond what it is. Like that's. I mean, you know, there's been people asking and stuff, which is great. So who knows what'll happen? But yeah, those are things you can't control. The one thing we can control is like the book itself.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, I would be happy if it will remain as a comic, because what you're doing with the book and what Rory's doing, what Joe's doing, what Hass is doing, it's just it's an amazing book, and it's great to share this and let everyone go out and check out Time Before Time.
Thanks, man. Yeah,
It
please.
really
Yeah,
is really
like
something.
it's a great book. I genuinely, I say that not with my own involvement removed. I think, yeah, I think I just think it's a savage book.
I can imagine as well, because it's such a team effort, you can have that sense of detachment and kind of see it as a separate entity and enjoy it as a separate
Well,
entity.
I mean, originally the reason to do the book was to do a book with Rory. Rory, I think, is an exceptional writer, and you know, was working in 2000 AD, but like hadn't really had much exposure beyond that. So I wanted to do a book with him to get more exposure to his work. And now he's got like Write It in Blood out with Joe as well. And now we've 2 volumes of Time Before Time, and now he's writing Spawn. Like, mission accomplished. I'm delighted, you know. So now we're kind of at the stage where the book, the hardest part was getting everything up and running. Now it is like that's why I want to go like 5 volumes, because like it's a very hard thing to get a book made and get it up and running and get it and like actually like have it get out there, come out monthly. That's a mammoth task, and I want to keep it going, because like it would be much harder to start a new book for one, but like getting it's very, how many comics are you reading now that go beyond 6 issues or 10?
True.
Pretty tough. And as a storyteller, it's definitely something, you know, I want to do and I'm interested in doing it. But like, you know, at the same time, a lot of the kind of like complexities are worked out for me with Rory. So I get to basically have fun, come up with some ideas, write some pages, which I have to do today actually. Shit, Rory needs pages today. But you know, do the covers, the cover design. Like I basically get to kind of world build a little without having to do all the really, really hard work. So it's just fun for me, you know.
Cool. So yeah, that's the team effort. But then we have to talk about when you get to play in your own sandbox and do your own thing, which is where we'll move on to our next topic, which is Old Dog, which is a story that you've included as part of Image Anthology, which is their new anthology series for Image Comics. Let's talk about that and who approached who. I mean, what was the kind of evolution of this? I mean, the reason why I'm really fascinated about that is because I hosted a panel with a number of image creators, and I think you were on that panel as well. And we were talking. This was at Birmingham, I believe.
Yes, no,
yeah.
It was Birmingham. It was
Comictopia.
Yes, that was it. Yeah.
Yes, and we talked about an anthology because I think I was really hammering the nail about let's get some new talent, and is Image a way of endorsing new talent and generating new talent, and can we do that through an anthology? So when I heard that they were going to be doing an anthology, I thought, oh, great, a melting pot for new talent. Then we have, not to disparage the stories we are going to be getting, it's creatives from the Image stable and established creators. Who approached who, and what was the mechanics of getting Old Dog together?
Well, I kind of I kind of hit a place where I am in my own work where I just kind of want to do my own. I want to write and draw my own stories. And Marvel have been really accommodating. I got to do some stuff there. Just did an X-Men story, I did a Hulk story before then, which are great. But I kind of feel like it's about time I invested everything in myself for once. So I pitched Old Dog to Image. Image accepted it, which is great. I still had a lot of Marvel stuff to wrap up on, but I was actually planning to do a short story myself, and I was working on it because I thought maybe I would send it out as a kind of a special treat to retailers, or like have a sample story to show when it was solicited. I
thought it'd be something that you'd put on your newsletter, which, by the way, if anyone's watching this and have not subscribed to the newsletter, Declan's incidental series, which goes out to family and friends and kind of things, do check out and subscribe to the newsletter. I thought it would be something that'd be really nice to go on there as well.
That was the original intent. The intent was to do something that when the book was announced, I'd have a story ready to go that people, because you know yourself, like you'll hear about a series and then you don't really know much about it and you've twigged solicitations. I wanted to have something that was like, here's what the book is and not be preview pages. You know what I mean? So that was my original idea. So I actually wrote that story like 2 years ago, I think, a while ago.
Okay.
So I was working on that anyway. And then Eric Stevenson at Image got onto me asking if I'd want to do a short story for this anthology. And I was like, oh, well, I'm already working on this short story. Like, it's, 10 pages. I don't know if that would fit. And he's like, 10 pages would be perfect. I was like, all right, we'll work away. So, which was good because it gave me a reason to actually get it done. But yeah, so ultimately, I love anthologies. I love that Image are doing it. To be asked to contribute to a 30th anniversary anthology for Image Comics is a huge fucking honor. And to be in the first issue as well, I felt showed a lot of confidence in the book, and which I really appreciated. So it made sense. There was a great avenue to put out the story I'd already been working on anyway. So once I finished it in, got it. It's like got way ahead of deadline. That was pretty nice. So that was it really. Like, so I think, to be honest, I think I'd probably still put it out like on my website or like send a PDF to retailers or something, because I'll do it with the first issue anyway. But there's something about a self-contained story, that isn't part of the first issue that I think is fun. But I had an idea to do something with it, like maybe print it in black and white or something and send it out to some retailers. I know I'm saying this out loud now to people, but now I'll have to fucking do it. But yeah, so sorry, this very rambly answer to your question was, I wanted to do something that kind of said, this is what the book is.
Sure.
Ahead of solicitations and ahead of like the actual book coming out. So that was a taster. And I don't know if it's worked doing it in the anthology or not. I'm not really sure. It's hard to know when to put something out if anyone. I don't know if anyone's fucking read the thing. That was the idea, and that's how it ended up in the anthology. Was it just timing wise, it worked out well.
Fair enough. With the preview pages that you sent me, it didn't have any of the. I don't believe it had any of the creative. Is it all you? Or who else is involved? Who's doing colours?
Sorry, it should have it should have this page 2 and 3 should be the credits, but it's all me, and there you go. If you move down,
that's the reason why, because it was kind of split. There you go.
So it's all me, except for lettering, which is Clayton Cole's. So
Clayton, of course.
Writing, drawing, coloring it.
Wow. I mean,
it's probably a stupid idea, but here it is.
I mean, come on, look at that thing. Incredible.
Oh, thanks. I'm really trying to make a really good fucking book.
I mean, I'm not going to say it's a cold cup of coffee, because it's a real sharp shock to the system. It's just kind of bang. It's a real.
Well, that was the intent. The intent was like for a short story, like roughly half of what a normal issue would be. Just grab the reader's throat and go like, this is the book, read it, So I'm glad. That's really well. Like, the fact that you're telling me this is one of the few reactions I've gotten back, so I appreciate it. But it's good to know what the thing you were trying to do is what is the effect that I managed.
Cool. The
Well, you
question
tell, I
again.
mean, what did you think? Like, anybody listening to this either has or hasn't read it, so like,
Oh no.
you know, what are your impressions?
My impressions.
You
I
sell
mean,
my book for me, Leonard.
absolutely, I will sell your book. I mean, the storyline is of a brusque, hard man, seemingly with abilities which say more about what we want to find out more about this particular character. Going into rescue somebody or something from a building, and it's kind of like a raid situation, the raid situation where he goes in and takes out the bad guys. But he goes through 4x4 with some real vicious and ferocity, and does it with
Very,
a real.
very eloquently said.
Thank you, and some real charm as well. There's a real kind of wit there.
No, good.
And
Like the feeling. I mean, what I wanted to do. There's two things I often like. You know, the thing about comics is like, you know, it's things you can't do in film,
sure,
and film is catching up with comics in a huge way. And I remember I was watching the Scorsese film The Irishman, and there's a scene where Robert De Niro kicks the crap out of this guy, and digitally it's him mapped on. You know, he looks young, and it's or whatever it was, and it just fell flat completely for me. Like it just the effects didn't quite work. I remember thinking like, you know, is that the one thing we can't do yet? Like have an old man believably, you know, move young, you know, or like bust through a wall, or what if Clint Eastwood could punch somebody through a wall? You know, I think was what I was thinking, and what a cool visual that was. And I think it came from there, to be honest. I'm just kind of cutting into the kind of type of storytelling that I want to do. Like I've liked every project I've worked on, but like, you know, Moon Knight was, I think, very much me distilled down to my purest. You know, I
okay,
think Warren did a great job of like tapping into what I was good at, and I wanted to kind of do more of that kind of visceral, impactful action scenes and kind of, you know, bold storytelling. So Old Dog Will is going to be self-contained issues like that short story, self-contained missions where
nice.
Jack Lynch basically, I think the best way to describe it is like a Nick Fury book. So they're all done in one like spy-fi series issues. So you don't need to have read every single issue, but like there is an overall storyline, of course. But like I want you to pick up a book and just read it done in one and go like, that was fucking cool. So it's
Yeah.
tied to like, I guess, my love of Frank Miller, and
Oh,
you know,
real Frank. There's a real Frank Miller vibe there.
you think?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, I think
Cool,
so.
cool. I'll take that.
I'd also like to just pick apart a sentence you just said there. Did you just invent the phrase "spy-fi"? By the way,
I don't think so. This too obvious.
That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, I like. Well, to me, that's like. I mean, I guess you could say James Bond, but like, you know, it's an espionage book. But that's why I say the Nick Fury thing, because it's not. It's not a grounded sci-fi spy book. It's like there's hover ships and there's energy weapons and there's, you know, like, so it's in the vein of like, I think I've described it as Winter Soldier meets Mission Impossible. So it's got that kind of heightened level of like again, Mission Impossible. Those are great spy films, but there's like a level of like the tech is just beyond what we're capable of, and I like that because it gives me the space to do kind of more high octane. You know, I love grounded stuff, but at the same time, I love going nuts. So this is a mix. This is a platform for me to be able to do like grounded storytelling. But when I want to ramp it up to 11, I can. Which is a fun thing. You know?
And also with 10 pages as well, you really cram it in. It's the old 2000 AD get bang for your buck every page, every panel kind of vibe as well. It's real.
I'm trying. I mean, yeah, it's a balance. I'm trying to compress where I can and expand where I want. You know, there's actually been the tough thing writing it is making sure it's not all 6 or 8 panel pages, because, you know, as much as that's fine, my favorite thing to do are double page spreads. Well, not my favorite thing, but one or like a splash page or something going crazy. Like, so it's all a matter of like taking the real estate of a comic and just shoving this in here and expanding this. And but that's the fun thing. It's the puzzle solving aspect of it that's really kind of fun to work on. And yeah, I haven't said much about the story. I should say about the story is effectively. So yeah, Jack Lynch is a kind of an aging CIA agent who's been basically starting to be shoved out the door. But there's in issue 1, we'll see his final mission. Something goes terribly wrong, and it opens up. He kind of wakes up to find that like he can do things he wasn't able to do before, and all of a sudden, when he was being turfed out the door, now he's an incredibly viable asset. So he has this whole new lease of life of being like not just a secret agent, but like a super secret agent, basically. So we have this like old cantankerous bastard who's doing all this cool like action sci-fi stuff, like and yeah, it's an excuse for me to draw haggard. I love drawing like really haggard faces, old miserable looking men. Beautiful people are boring to draw, so yeah, this is a great like opportunity to just kind of just draw all the stuff that I kind of wanted to draw, and tell, you know, like I love things like, I don't know, like Alias and The Americans, and you know, it's like playing in that kind of spy world. I think, remember when one stage I was talking to Marvel about doing a Nick Fury book, and I think that might have stayed in my head as something I wanted to do, so now I'm kind of doing my own.
Yeah. There's a definite kind of Nick Fury via Sin City vibe. So, I mean, when you say Frank Miller, I mean, I'm definitely picking up those vibes. And yet, reading it, I can also see the same person who wrote and created Bog Bodies. Because there's that real kind of strength of narrative storytelling there as well. It's a real, cool. You know, does that make? I think that makes sense.
Well, it's hard for. I mean, look, I can't say if that's the case because I'm too close to these things. You know, like, you know, I can't take a step back and say what is or isn't a Declan Shalvey book or anything. You know, what the work will be, what gives those examples. But I like the idea that there's some kind of connective tissue from a storytelling point of view. But yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's very interesting to hear. That's cool. Because it is a very different book. I mean, it's a completely different book.
Oh, very much so. Oh, very much so. But the wit's there. You know,
cool.
Okay, the Irish lilt.
Yeah,
we'll go with that. The Irish lilt is definitely there. It's okay. Bog Bodies is a couple of Guinnesses down. Old Dog is a couple of Guinnesses with the Whiskey Chasers.
Okay, great. I like that. That's good.
We'll go with that. We've got a bunch of people who are joining us, and we've got comments. Cool. By all means, guys, any questions you want to put to Declan, please do let us know. Leanne D, big fan. She's been really looking forward to this episode. Loving Moonlight. You know I love the crazy and the crazy.
Thank you.
Toby, liking Moonlight as well. These are obviously comments from earlier on in the
sure. So I'm just going to show a page from Old Dog. I just
hang on a second. Hang on. Let's do that for full screen.
So ignore the comments. Yeah, so.
Way. Nice. Oh, there's your Cincy. There's that kind of real, the big space. Oh, that's
amazing. So it's a lot of that stuff, and or is it? Yeah, grizzled old man drawings, because they're just really fun to draw.
Nice.
But
into the blue, mister. Maybe sometime in the future we'll get an Eastwood Judge Dredd. A 30-second clip would do me fine.
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be very bloody cool. And Toby as well. I'd like to see that in the theatre. So there you go. Yeah, there's something that's really, really cool. Yeah, I mean, it's a brilliant story and really well put together. And really, I'm looking forward to seeing how it sits with the rest of that anthology as well. But like I say, I mean, I'm really curious to see what Image do with an anthology anyway.
Yeah, we'll see that Old Dog
wanted from it, but that's obviously not what Eric's going to go for.
Well, I mean, it's tough. Because I listened to some reviews of the anthology, and you know, it's never going to be what it is for everyone. I know some people wanted it to be like a lot of old school Image stuff. I think it does a good job of showing what like Image is now.
Yes.
But at the same time, actually, I haven't read it all. I haven't had a chance to actually go through the whole book. But like, I think the important thing is to have some consistent things. I know there are some consistent stories going through it, but I also wouldn't want every single story to be consistent. Like, I think I don't know for sure. I can't speak for Eric. He didn't say this to me, but I assume for the first issue he wanted to showcase Old Dog because that's going to be one of the big, I don't know, new releases. Hopefully, big new releases.
Yeah.
But like, I assume that's why he did it. I mean, he's not a crazy person.
No, he's not.
But like, I would like to see, like, I think there's like, I would like to see other just one-off stories in there. I think I saw some reviews. People just thought it was a one-off and didn't realize that it was like
ongoing,
basically a debut of a new series. But that's the tough thing with anthologies. Everything is a different thing.
Sure. I mean, it's like you said, it's a way of showcasing what Image is now.
That's what I think, at least.
I totally agree. I mean, when I did that panel with yourself and Eric at Comicsalopia, we talked about the genesis of Image and where Image was, and when it first came out, and it was Wildstorm, it was Big Pouches, it was definitely doing its thing. That publisher could not be publishing Twig. It could not be publishing.
Very true.
It couldn't be publishing Giga. It couldn't be publishing this anthology. It's a total. It's the way that Image has evolved over the years. And I think one of the questions I asked was, where did you see those lines and those delineations? Which are the eras of Image? Is this there's the Saga era? Here's the Kieran Gillen kind of era. You know, there's different eras of the publisher, and I'm wondering if this is his kind of line in the sand of going, okay, here's what we're showcasing, where we are now. Let's move forward from this. I'm guessing that's where he is in his headspace.
I mean, that would make sense. I mean, this is totally
it's all. Listen, nobody knows what's going on in Eric Stevens' head.
Yeah. But like, I would say, I mean, it strikes me that there was that era of, say, the Saga era, where there were a lot of big books coming up by big creators, say, you know, Frankie Vaughan and you know, Warren Ellis, Kelly Sue DeConnick, like, you know, all the trees and injections and sagas and Pretty Deadlies and things like that. And you know, that was a good few years ago now. You know, it's like, what, 6 years ago. And I think now we're getting a lot more kind of fractured is not the word I'm looking for, but like a publisher that will publish Bog Bodies and I don't know, Sweet Paprika and
oh god, yeah,
you know, like they're so different. And I think there's an audience for that stuff that maybe wasn't quite there before. That those big kind of like, let's say like, for lack of a better term, mainstream titles that Image put out, which weren't mainstream, but they were by mainstream creators, created more avenues for different types of stories, and now you have newer creators coming in doing that. I mean, I don't think Old Dog necessarily fits in there. I think Old Dog could have been something like the original. It is me doing kind of superhero-y work. It's not superhero-y necessarily. There's like, it's like 10% superhero in there. It's more everything like these other things. But that's I would say I'm like the most standard, boring version of like what Image Creator is doing, and that a thing I did, I'm doing as an Image now.
Is Old Dog the kind of story or the pages that you would show someone? If someone asked you to go, okay, could you show me a book right now which would show me who Declan Shalvey is right now in 2022, is Old Dog the book that you would show, or would it be
definitely
yeah?
Well, I mean, like, look, I love Time Before Time, but I'm not drawing it, you know. It's different to actually be drawing all the panels or something. So like there's a book I want to do. I kind of made a decision when we're going to do that book or we're going to do this Old Dog. And I decided to do Old Dog because I feel that like I want to do book in single issue format. I want to lean into the format. And I want to do action storytelling like what I do with Marvel, but I want to do a mainstream-ish book at Marvel. I've done very indie things like, say, Bug Buddies. That to me is very indie. Savage Town is even more so.
Yeah.
Time Before Time was an attempt to do a monthly Image series that was a little wilder and different. Old Dog, I would say, is a little bit more of a step back as regards. I don't want to say it's like it's more standard, like I'm going heavy with it, but I think if you like reading Marvels, if you like reading Daredevil or anything I did, if you like reading Moon Knight, you like this.
It's Marvel. It's Marvel Knights.
Yeah. I haven't gotten to do a Marvel Knights book, so I'm doing my own. Like, this is the type of book I would love to do at Marvel if I was given like all the leeway, But I get to do it at Image and I own it and it's mine. So
Sure.
I get to have. I mean, I'm doing all the design for the book. I'm doing, I'm reaching out to some of my favorite artists to do covers, and you wouldn't believe the amazing people I've got to do covers for. I can't wait to show people. Oh, I'm so happy. But yeah, this is definitely a showcase for me, I think, as a storyteller, because I'm writing and I'm drawing and I'm coloring. Like, this is the most distilled version of me you can get.
Sure.
Time Before Time, there's me in that book, but so much of it is all those other guys.
I mean, Time Before Time definitely shows you as a team player. This is you on the stage on your own and giving it the full ball. And yeah, I'm down with that. Leanne D, that page is magnificent. I'm guessing you're talking a number of the Old Dog pages. You could have chosen either.
It had to be more specifically, Leanne. There were so many amazing pages.
I know. Into the Blue, Mr. Lovely artwork from Declan. Everyone loves a rooftop chase, and
I love drawing.
Yeah. And 100 agreed with Declan that old gritty characters are much more fun to draw than pretty people. I bet John Ridgway had a blast doing the Dead Man for 2000 AD. There's a name drop and a half. Yeah. Bloody hell. Yeah. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much indeed for the comments. Keep them coming in. Because we'll also move on to, I mean, you're talking about you're contributing to the big two as well, and making an impact with those stories. Let's talk about Elektra, because that is a story which I'm not going to say it's divisive, because people have enjoyed it, but I've been seeing so many different ways people have picked it apart and kind of taken it. What was your approach to Elektra? What is your approach to Elektra? How did you come into the character, would you say? Have you frozen on me? Are you there? Have I frozen or has Declan frozen? If someone could answer in the comments, please. Anybody? Oh, well, Solicitor Smeg is answering. The art is great. Now I want to draw a comic who likes stick figures. I'm going to message Declan and just say, have you frozen? Oh, it's just Declan. Okay. In that case, I'm just going to go, have you frozen, sir? And see if we can find him. Is he back in? No, he's definitely frozen. That's a shame, because, like I say, he's doing Elektra. He's done it. Yeah, he's frozen for me. With us a second. It wouldn't be a Talkin Con without some kind of technical issues. He's gone. Hopefully he'll come back and we'll get on with that. Declan that's frozen. Okay, fair enough. So yeah, Solicitors make the art is great. Now I want to draw a comic who likes stick figures. Let's see if he's back in the room. Oh, it's not looking great. I'm just wondering if it's my Wi-Fi again. But he's not there. Can't see you, sir. Okay. Yeah, it's a shame because I was really getting into this conversation. Release the IT team. Yeah. Every single time we do seem to be having some technical issues. No, you're good. It's just Declan. I won't go that far. I'd say Declan's good, and I'm just this guy talking to him. But I know what you mean. I know what you mean. We're going to talk. Hopefully, if Declan comes back, we'll get him back. See if we got a private chat. Everyone can see me. It's you. So we'll try again. We'll give him he's giving it another go. We'll give it another go. I mean, okay. I'll just take the seconds to kind of reiterate any opportunity you get the chance to check them out. Time Before Time. It's published by Image Comics. It's like I say, the second volume is out at the moment. While he's not here, I will say that there's a very strong Looper vibe from the start, but then it turns into its own mechanics. And it, if I would give a real kind of one of the, I'm certain that some creatives really hate the whole idea of comparing it with other books, but I'd go Looper versus Saga. It's got that real expansive world building, yeah, I'd highly recommend you checking that out. And like I say, Old Dog as well, which is just an amazing book. Part of the Image Image anthology. Do go check it out. And the man is back. There we go. So I was just giving it the sales pitch again.
Oh, thanks, man. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. You froze on my end. And
listen, I'm guessing it's all me. Trust me, I'm going to blame it's always me. My internet.
I'm fine with that. Okay.
Virgin Media.
Sorry, I can't remember what I was saying before. I'm sure I was yapping on about something.
I think we were talking, about Elektra. About
you said it was divisive. How so?
I think it's just the way that I think people were expecting something else from the book. From the comments that I've been reading, it's just like, what were you expecting? I
would say again with anthologies, it's tough. Like for my part, I was asked if I wanted to write and draw. Sorry, I was asked if I wanted to write a Elektra Daredevil story. Sure. The answer was yes. Of course I did, which is what I did. You know, when it comes down to what an anthology is, I mean, I guess it's down to the editor and what the editor's take for that was. I didn't know what the other stories were necessarily. I know Ann Nassetti was writing one, and I didn't know about the other ones, you know. So I think it was her and me and Stefano, and there was a Chris Eliopoulos story and a Ty Templeton story. I mean, is it what I would have done as an editor? I don't know. I mean, if I was doing it, I would have done more stories like the one I did, but that's because I like what I like. That doesn't necessarily mean, you know. But yeah, but I don't know what the overall criticisms were of the anthology. Were they of the anthology or were they of the story?
I think people were just wanting to see like a Frank Miller Elektra again, and I'm just going, it's been done. Frank did it.
That's true, and I mean, we all do live in the shadow of Frank Miller with all this stuff. Like, we're all still writing Frank Miller Batmans. We're all still writing Daredevil, Frank Miller Daredevils. You know, that's the one thing. Like, I mean, I think I did that. I pretty much did a Frank Miller-y.
Were you channeling?
A little, you know. I mean, yeah, but sure. Look, that's why I like those characters. That's what I read when I grew up. So of course, that's going to be the thing I like. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the thing to do. Maybe you should be doing a whole new take on Elektra. I don't know. You're certainly not going to please everybody, you know.
No.
But at the same time, you know, doing what's been done for the last 30 years isn't necessarily interesting either. For my part in it, I was like, did I want to write a story? And I had an idea for like getting to write Daredevil as well as Elektra, because I wrote Elektra in the Red, White, and Blood anthology. I did a story there, and that was very different actually. The temptation was to go Frank Miller with that, but I went a whole other direction. I'm glad I did, because that's the obvious thing to do. Well, not the obvious thing to do. Well, it is the obvious thing to do, but if you can do it really well, who cares? Like Leonardo Romero wrote and drew a story, which I think was kind of that. And you could go, well, that's the obvious thing to do, Leonardo, but did you read that story? It was fucking great. And he drew the living shit out of it. So, you know, what are you gonna do? But yeah, so I don't know. I don't really pay too much attention to kind of online criticism anymore. Like especially if it's about the anthology, because that's out of my hands. That's down to the editor. You know, if they didn't like my story, that's perfectly fine. That's fair enough.
Sure. When did that the request to do that come in? Because I mean, you must have been well and truly into Time Before Time at that point, and I mean, what was your work? What was your workload like at that point?
It was too much, but
you don't turn it down.
What I don't think I'm talking out of school. I was basically asked if I wanted to write a Matt and Elektra story, and I said, "When do you need it?" And they said, "Tomorrow," because they had a much bigger creator writing a story, but there was something didn't work out. I think some contract thing or whatever it was. So then the editor was, I guess, stuck. So he called me, and I think he knows I'm a massive Daredevil fan. So I think he knew I'd like to kind of tell a story there. So yeah, was way too busy writing Time Before Time, writing Old Dog. There was something else too. What else was I? I mean, covers. Not to mention the covers. Was I finishing X-Men around then? Maybe. No, I think I just finished X-Men, my second Vertical story. But, you know, I didn't have to draw it, so that saved me some time, thankfully.
I mean, like you say, not only that, as a long-time fan as well. I mean, was this a Elektra story or Elektra Daredevil story that you had been sat on for a while, or was it something that came?
No, I'd love to tell you this is a story I've been dying to tell my whole life, but like, you know, freelance writing is a lot of like there's a Daredevil story I've been dying to do, and I'd like to do that someday. That's in my back pocket, sure. But you know, I never thought that anybody would ask. You know, I never thought anybody asked me to write an Elektra story. You know, so that was even with the Black, White, and Red story. That totally took. I was like, holy crap, that's cool. What did I do? So a lot for freelance writing, a lot of it is like, here's the thing. Do you have an idea?
Yeah.
And that's when you start having to think, you know, so that's when you kind of scramble going, if I'm going to do a story, what am I going to do? The remit for this story was a Matt and Elektra story. So I wanted to kind of do a timeless story about basically the dance that they do all the time. They never quite get together, you know. They're so matched with each other. They're perfect partners, but, you know, she's dangerous. And you can never quite know which way she's going to go. And that's what it was for me. Like, if I got to tell a short story that says something about the character and her relationship with Daredevil, which is clearly a big part of it. But you know, I'd have a think. You know, like, I'm not somebody who's good at coming up with ideas like that. I need to kind of sit on things for a while. But
sure.
you know, but in a lot of cases, those kind of short stories tend to be kind of editors going, "Hey, would you like to contribute to this?" And you're like, cool, and then you've got to come up with something. I don't have a shelf of Elektra stories built up, but when you're asked that question, you do need to go like, well, what is an Elektra story?
Sure.
Who is Elektra? You know, what do you want to do? So but those are great because it forces you to kind of like think on your feet and make some decisions. So I'm really, really happy with that story. And Stefano drew like, well, I also looked at his work because I try to write towards the artist, and he does beautiful. He draws these very kind of sexy drawings on his Instagram, and I'm like, okay, well, that's not something I do very well. But if I'm going to work with an artist who can draw like sensual things, then, and we're talking about Matt and Elektra, then let's lean into that. So that's kind of where the idea for like them having that kind of sexy dance. A lot of it was going to be down to his drawing and storytelling, which it was, and I think he did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, for myself, I mean, to go back to the comment about what you do when somebody asks you. So they were like the actor who's asked, "Oh well, can you swim? We would like you to swim the channel. Can you swim? Yeah, I can swim. Can you horse ride? Yeah, I can horse ride. Yeah, can you speak French? Just we."
Yeah, I've heard a lot of those stories. Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that, and then you go away.
Can you sword fight? Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. But I mean, you know, it's slightly different because they're asking, can you write? You know, and that I think I can do.
Good point. And then
There'd be
the
some
other thing I
things.
was going to say, I mean, for myself. Oh, go on.
Sorry, just like there'd be some things I'll be asked to do that I'm like I just don't have a take on, and I just would say no. I'm trying to think of something recently, but yeah, there's something comes your way. But like what I liked is that the editor offered me something that I would like to do. In those cases, like it's hard to say no. But there's other cases where if you're not really feeling it, like you can just go, I'm plenty busy as it is. So yeah, I'm not just taking whatever's going. Like I genuinely love that corner of the Marvel universe, and getting to just dip my toe in it was really, really nice.
Cool. I mean, for myself, and when I read it, there was a real tone poem vibe to it. There was a real kind of a flow, and I mean, like you say that it's the dance, and it is a real kind of. It was a real poem and a real kind of rhythmic kind of sense to it. It was almost. It was designed to be this kind of beat that was just weaving through the pages, and I was just really, if anything, there's a comment which I'm going to kind of bounce back to. Into the Blue Mister saying, Moon Knight, Elektra, am I seeing a Sienkiewicz influence on Declan? The Bill Sienkiewicz era of Daredevil, there is that kind of sense of a tone poem to some of the pages and a real kind of flow to them, and I'm just wondering if that was intentional as well.
I'd like to say yes, but I just don't know all of Bill's work that well. I mean, I read Elektra Assassin. Sorry, well, yeah, no, there's just so much. I mean, I've bought it all. I read Elektra Assassin when I was maybe a little too young to appreciate his work. I read his Moon Knight stuff years and years ago, and I think I've said it before. I love the transformation of who he was when that book started to where he is now. I love his work, but I haven't read a lot of it. Weirdly, it's more kind of like standalone illustrations and things like that. Yeah, I remember actually I saw him draw some weird documentary, maybe about Daredevil or something, when the original film came out, the Ben Affleck film, and there was footage of him drawing Elektra. I think that's my first real experience with him, and he did this amazing, it was like a rough drawing of Elektra, and every time he added something, and he didn't just like do an ink line, he had like a big brush and did like a blob for her hair, and every time he was adding something, I remember going like, no, don't, because it just looked like he was going to ruin it, but every time something went down, it just looked amazing, and that was a huge kind of a drawing, a lesson in of just being brave and taking chances, because every time I was like, no, you're gonna ruin it. Ooh, yeah, I would say I think I'm due a real deep dive into Bill's work. Like everything I've ever seen I've loved, but I want to say I've read everything and adored everything, but I really haven't taken the time to do it. But clearly I think it all stems from Frank Miller. My two favorite comics would probably be Batman Year One and Daredevil Man Without Fear. Those books just did a number on me when I was, what age was I, 15?
Yeah.
He warped my brain forever. So I think clearly Sienkiewicz is connected to Miller, so that's probably bled in a little.
Yeah, I think you and I are a similar age, and I think I had the similar Sienkiewicz situation with X-Men, with his with the work he did in that kind of period. Again, I came at it too young, but then again, I came at the whole book too young anyway. So I think it was. Yeah, it was you.
He wasn't really doing these comics when I started reading them. I started reading them in 94, 93 probably. So he'd done all his big runs, and I think was pretty much out then. I think he was working in film by then. So now that's not to say I can't go back and read it, but when I was a kid, that stuff wasn't as accessible as it is now. It's actually amazing the stuff you can track down now, but that wasn't really an option to me growing up in the west of Ireland.
Fair enough. Into the Blue Mister. This is regarding if when an editor comes to you for a story, can you write? Sure, I write gooder than anyone else. Yeah, as long as you have that as a email, just to a reply on your emails. Just
well, that they don't ask can you write. Thankfully, they ask can you write X, and you're like X. I love X. X is the best. But no, I mean that would have been me a few years ago, because any opportunity to write I would take because I wanted to. it's different now. Like I get to write way more now than I did like 10 years ago. So it's down to like, do I have the time really? You know, there's some jobs I did get offered something recently for a licensed project, but I'm a huge fan of the project, so of the franchise, say. So I'll make the time. You know, there's some things you'll make the time for.
Okay. Can we tease any more of that from you?
Don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, anyone who knows me will probably figure it out, but yeah, I don't say anymore.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, this is a great way to kind of like wrap things up then, because you're talking about time and how much time you've got to do things. We'll talk about conventions, and if you are heading back to conventions and what the last couple of years have done to your perception of conventions at the back end. But certainly, like I alluded to earlier, the newsletter, which I'm a fan of, and I know that I know that when you get the tone when you send them out, it's like, guys, I don't know if anyone's reading this. I'm throwing this out into the void, but you know,
I mean, I do know people are reading it because I get the stats, but it's different because like you get with social media, you get instant feedback.
Yeah,
you know, it happens straight away. You see when people are liking it. It's different with the newsletter. There's no reply. I mean, you can reply, but it feels different because you are throwing it out there and you don't know. But I've been doing it years now at this stage, so, and I know plenty of people do read it. I'm always just worried if like, does anybody like, are they enjoying it or what? But then again, you know, you don't subscribe if you weren't. So, but no, I like doing that. It's a nice, well, one, it's always a nice excuse to write. Once every 2 weeks, and I don't know, me, I like knowing what a creator's doing across because it's really tough. Like you're not going to keep track of everything on social media. You'll miss so much. So for me, it's a good place to go. Like, this is what I'm working on. This is what's coming out. Things like that, you know. And I've just finished. I actually have to finish this week's one today. Yeah, I'll do that tonight. A list of things to do tonight.
Okay, and then we talk about conventions. It's right there in our title. It's Talkin Con. So
yeah, that's interesting. Like I've said yes to 3 this year.
Right.
One in Ireland, one in the UK, and one abroad. And now I'm wondering, like, will I do New York?
How do you feel about those? How do you feel about getting back out there then? At the moment,
I'm okay with it. Just to a limited amount, you know. I don't want to be going crazy, but I do miss seeing people a lot. You know, I miss the like. To be honest, I miss more like the nights out afterwards where I get to talk to people and you miss the crack. See what they're working on and talk to like just that kind of back and forth that you get with other creators. I'm not. I think maybe my tabling days might be behind me.
Okay.
As in, I think I'd do like an hour at a table and then, go away. Like hustling and selling and hand selling books, I think I might be done with that.
You need a Kevin behind the table.
Yeah, that'd be ideal. That'd be good. Yeah.
So like a Declan robot to just kind of like.
Well, like I just don't think I want to do sketches at shows anymore. Or if I do, like limited, my energy levels aren't what they were. I kind of prefer to be doing books rather than trying to sell them afterwards. But I miss the talking one-on-one with people who are buying the books. I do miss that too, because you just you end up talking to people who you'd never expect to talk to, and like it's very gratifying seeing people like talk about something that you worked on that they really enjoy. Like that's great. I do kind of miss that. So I think like I'm going to do Enniskillen in a couple of months. I'll probably get a table at that because it's a small show. But I'd say New York Comic Con, I'd probably like just sign I'd sign at like my art dealer's booth for a bit and like for like an hour a day or something and just leave it after that. Just because, energy levels aren't what they were. I lost my voice at every New York Comic Con every time. But like, even I couldn't go to Thought Bubble last year because there was a family thing happened. But even then I wasn't going to do a table. I was just going to sign for a bit, just because I kind of think I've done the shoe leather part of my career, and maybe I should just kind of take a little bit of a step back. But I still want to go to these things and meet people.
Fair enough. I mean, you were missed. I will say you were very much missed.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah. Well, there was a pint sunk in your honour. We'll go with that.
Well, good.
What was the UK con, or what is the UK con that you've said? Can you announce that yet?
I mean, I don't know. It's the MCM in London in October. Oh, sorry, you're back.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I was invited to the. I know the guys at Repop, and they invited me to that, so I'm going to do that. I'd like to do Thought Bubble. I just haven't decided when we're there yet because I'm lazy. But I love Thought Bubble. Like, I've gone every year I could. So so that would be. And there's one abroad in Canada I've been invited to. I think I'll do that because it'll be the same month Old Dog is out, so it kind of makes sense to maybe hit a show around then. So that would be, in theory, 1, 2. That'd be 5 in the last half of the year. That'd be a lot.
That's nice. That's a nice.
How many are you gonna do?
I think I'm doing about the same, but thankfully I'm being invited to do panel host at them. So I'm kind of picking and choosing, if anything, because I now have one of those proper jobs which kind of take up my time, which is a pain in the bum because I used to have a lot of free time being a DJ to go off and do Comic Cons, and now I don't. But there we go. But no, I'm certainly looking forward to Thoughtful. I've got my hotel booked for that. MCM, like I say, I'm not able. I said in the intro, I'm not able to make this month's. Sorry, the one at the end of May. Sorry, but I've been really enthusiastic about MCM and the fact that because when Repop took on MCM, they threw gobloads of money at the comics area to really get some headline names in, some American names in, and really kind of bolster the comics area.
Yeah, they had like Frank Miller and Andy Cooper and stuff, didn't they?
Yeah. And what I'm really enthusiastic about, certainly in 2022, they're starting to continue some of that energy going on, getting names like yourself, and getting some real kind of draws in, as well as the independent comics village. So I think they're recognizing the strength and power of the comic talent.
Yeah, I wasn't too hot on MCM overall. I went years ago. I didn't really like it, so I never went after that. But Repop sent me to India. Where else? Like they brought me to Chicago. I've got a good relationship with those guys. And I've said no a few times to the UK ones. But I think I do kind of want to get out a bit more. I want to get out of the house a little. But I think what has changed pre-COVID to post-COVID is that I'm just not going to be hitting all the shows the way I was before. I think it was a place in my life where I was looking for just to get out and have distractions.
Sure.
And now, it's like I don't need to hustle the same way. I kind of have to remind myself that I'm not like a new creator anymore who's trying to get their name out. I have to remind myself, like, I'm technically a veteran now. I've been at Marvel over 10 years, so I'm an old hag now. When
I was typing up the description for this, I put iconic comic writer and artist. The word.
I'm not sure that's deserved. I'll take it, but I'm not sure it's deserved.
It's there. Sorry, mate.
But in my head, I'm the guy who was trying to get to talk to Sean Phillips and at Bristol, or talk to Chris Weston or I still in my head. So it's kind of weird to flash forward and go like, oh wait, no, I forget that I'm that guy for other people now, which is weird. But at the same time, I just don't need to be hustling as hard. So I'd like to have more of a personal life, which I have kind of probably failed at in the last few years. So so limited amount, no more than that anyway. I think New York and Top Bubble I'd like to do for consistency's sake because I love going to those shows. But when a show invites you and pays your way, it's kind of hard to say no to that,
Understandable. Well, looking forward to seeing you back at the shows. Like I say, I'd really like to see you back at the Thought Bubble because
I know I probably will go. I've done nothing to organize it. Like a hotel. When's that? It's April now. November, book an hotel for November. Fuck, but I'll do it too late. I know it'll happen. I'll do it way too late.
Well, I mean, once we've finished talking to yourself, I'm going to be talking about San Diego, and I've got 2.5 months to sort my condo out, and I haven't done that. I've done the flights. I'll be flying into. I'm flying Aer Lingus,
Oh,
so
very good.
I'm going that way, but and back again as well. No, I've yet to. I can imagine. Why on earth they don't actually have a campsite? I'd love to take I'll go for a tent. Just stick me under the stars. I'll be fine. I don't think the missus will enjoy that, but you know, that's the way it works.
Well, look, good luck with that.
Yes, I don't think that's going to work convincing her in that one. But no, looking forward to, like I say, looking forward to seeing you back at the shows, and yeah, definitely looking forward to the work that you've got coming down the pipe. You've teased us with some stuff, and looking forward to seeing how that works. Best place for people to follow what you do is the newsletter the best way, or
yeah, well, there's at Declan Shalvey on Instagram and Twitter. I don't do Facebook because just
it's
done
evil.
with it. It's all evil, man. Let's face it. But yeah, there's also I have a new website, declanshalvey.com, where there's a link to the newsletter there. Otherwise, I need to rail off a whole load of numbers and letters in order for you to find it. So yeah, declanshalvey.com. Yeah, you can subscribe to the newsletter there. And I mean, that's the best place if you want opportunities to buy artwork. I'm going to be selling some Moon Knight sketches next week. I'm going to do a special newsletter for that. And yeah, and just to know what's coming up, like any new books that's coming up, any kind of and I tend to tease a lot of artwork that hasn't been shown. Like I did a cover for an Alien annual at Marvel, and it hasn't been released yet. Might be the newsletter, you know. Yeah, I like to kind of tease some stuff that I wouldn't share publicly on things like on social media and stuff. So yeah, and I rant a little bit, so hopefully that's entertaining.
It is. Thoroughly enjoy it, and yeah, looking forward to the new issue coming through my inbox in the next couple of days, hopefully.
Yeah, it should. Yeah, one due for Tuesday. So
cool. Looking forward to that. Declan, thank you so much indeed for coming on. Congratulations on all the stuff that you've got going on.
Cheers, appreciate it. Sorry it's been so long. I didn't sorry it took so long to be back on again.
Well, let's hope that it's not too long until we see you again, because that'd be
great.
Cool to be back.
Yeah, give us a shout anytime.
In that case, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We'll take care. Look after
yourself. Thanks, man. Cheers.
Take care. Brilliant stuff. So there you go. Do check out. We'll do the pitch again. Once again, do check out Time Before Time. Currently being sold by Image Comics. You'll get there's Volume 1, Volume 2 out there at the moment, and it is an ongoing series as well. Like I say, there's also the one-shots. Great to hear about PJ Holden doing his piece. There's also, I'd love to see some more people that I'm a fan of doing what he does. But also we've got, like I say, Old Dog, which you can find in Image !Anthology. So that's their new book that's due on the shelves, or is out at the moment. So do check that out as well. So yeah, that's Declan Shalvey. Thank you so much for him for joining us on the show. Right, this is going to be a little bit of a short thing then, as we preview what we're going to be doing as of next week. Like I say, it's not that far away now. We are talking 87 days to San Diego Comic-Con, which means the clock has started and it's time to start getting some prep. We've got ourselves some news that is coming out of CCI, including when it comes to the way that badges are now being rolled over. If you have got a member ID and you did have your badges for 2019, do check out your member ID, because those tickets have hopefully rolled over now. We understand there have been 1 or 2 technical issues in terms of the way that the days have been allocated, but that apparently is getting resolved. We also have some news as well. If you do go on to the member ID, do check out if there's any issues when it comes to dates. Certainly ages, those people who have got kids that have gone from juniors to adults over the course of the last couple of years. So do go and check that out, and just make sure that all your details are correct and that your tickets have rolled over. So do head to comic-com.org and click on the member ID, log in, and just make sure that if you did have badges for 2019, that you get yourself all squared up and all your badges are ready to go. For myself, we're still waiting on press. So while my Caroline has got her badges and those have been rolled over, we're still waiting on press to kind of get sorted out. Apparently, they are still kind of folding through the system. It is a brand new system to CCI with their member ID. It's a brand new page and a brand new organization, or the way they're doing it. So we're going to certainly discuss about that as the weeks go on. I know that last week I said keep your eyes on your inbox because we could be seeing hotel sales and hotel apocalypse news coming down the line. I still believe that is imminent. And that is going to be the first topic of conversation for next week's show, because we are going to be talking about the Englishman's Road to San Diego. This is going to be an ongoing series starting next week, where we take an aspect of San Diego Comic-Con, attending the show, breaking it down, discussing it, talking about the pros and cons of things you can experience at San Diego Comic-Con, such as offsites, such as competitions, such as the lotteries, such as accommodation, money that you need to spend. Is it ideal to stay a little bit further afield? Is it worth staying over at Coronado Island? Is it that downtown experience that you need to really get the San Diego Comic-Con vibe? We're going to get into all of that starting next week. The Englishman's Road to San Diego. That's what we're going to be doing. We've got ourselves a couple of comments. Toby, Ace Parking is making things crazy as they still haven't released their dates for the parking lottery. Again, that's going to be something we're going to be talking about in an upcoming episode as well. Toby as well, fancy screen logo there. That is a long time coming, that particular screen and logo, sir. That was just to break this down. This is like 7 years ago when I was being staggeringly ambitious for an Englishman in San Diego. The idea was that I was going to hire a Winnebago for about 3-4 weeks leading up to San Diego Comic-Con, try and get some mobile internet bolted to the roof, and basically do a rolling news travel across the US to San Diego, and then we would do San Diego Comic-Con, and it would be a way for myself to explore the US and a way for me to see the sights and really immerse myself in American culture, and it would also be a way of really focusing on getting the news out there, because there's not other than that there's nothing else to do. At which point I then did get somebody turning around and saying, okay, between the West Coast and the East Coast, there's a whole lot of nothing there. Don't just remember, Route 66 sounds glamorous, but it's a lot of nothing. It's a lot of open range. Yeah, that's the thing that kind of shot it down, and also the cost as well. It just ended up being something complete. It was an utter pipe dream. But no, the Englishman's Road to San Diego. But now I'm reclaiming that title for this weekly series, because, like I say, not that far to go. 8-7 days. We're talking, if I do the math in my head, just over 9 weeks. 9 weeks, something like that. But yeah, that was basically the plan. Yeah, I think you could definitely go with that. Into the movie, Bloomer said the road trip idea, basically the movie Paul, but in reverse. Then, yeah, looking back at the film Paul, yeah, it's exactly that. That's exactly what it was. Leanne D, I was hoping you could come to Austin, but I know it's a pipe dream. Myself and Caroline would love to travel further afield and see other parts of the US. It was great for us to kind of get whisked away. We got some friends who took us whitewater rafting one year. That was fun. Going a little bit further field, but it's just about the funds to hand. I think we've got something like, and the way I'm going to work it out, something like $2,000 to spend, which over a 3-week period, those funds can go. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, Toby, not much in the way of internet connection along Route 66. It was, like I say, highly impractical. But there we go. That's the idea. So episode number 1 starts next week. Englishman, a road. Okay, maybe that can change. The Englishman's Road to San Diego, the Road to San Diego. Each week, taking an aspect of San Diego Comic-Con and exploring how you can get the most out of it. How this is going to be not just for regular viewers, and it's great that you're coming back week after week. Thank you so much indeed for that. But this is also going to be for those people who have not been before, who have not experienced it, and also perhaps for those that have gone, how things have changed. Clydie Nee from Artist Alley at San Diego Comic-Con International has turned around and said that she's going to do her best to get herself and some friends down to San Diego Town Center, to downtown, to Gaslamp, to a little bit further afield perhaps, to basically, I mean, if you are watching this from San Diego, if you are local, could you get your mobile phone out and just film around town and just let us know how it's how it went, and how the city has changed, and how San Diego has evolved post-COVID, and what we can expect on arrival. What shops and restaurants and places have vanished into the ether, of which I have been told there have been a fair few. How those that have survived, how they've evolved. I'd love to do an episode on San Diego and what we can expect from San Diego July 2022. Because I can imagine it's going to be a different town, a different city, and a different experience. I think San Diego Comic-Con is going to be a different experience, and part of the Road to San Diego is going to be preparing people for that change. So that's my plan for it. Road to San Diego, it starts next week, and we're going to be dealing with accommodation and also just where to stay in town, and the benefits, pros and cons, that kind of thing. So there we go. Toby, once I've got my new used car back from the shop, I'll do another ride around town. I'd love to see, like to say what it is, what the city is like. Andrew English is reminding me that while funds are a little bit tight, and while I couldn't do an Englishman's Road to San Diego, that cross-country trip due to funds, the Euro Millions is still on the cards. No one won Friday, so Tuesday is 100 million. Next Friday is 104 million. Someone's got to win it, right? Who knows? But there we go. So that's the plan. That's the plan. Into the Blue Mister. Don't forget, Leonard has promised to take us all if he wins. Admissible evidence in last week's episode. I said it out loud, didn't I? I'd hire. You know what? If I won it, like next week, I would find a disused building and spend a month and a half doing it up. And yeah, that would be our little permanent hotel-ish. Look, okay, I'm going to shut up now because I'm not wishing it into existence. But there we go. Look, I am that kind of guy. I would, any way that we can all kind of do it. Right, I'm going to get off. Thank you very much indeed for watching today's episode. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Once again, 8 to 7 days to go to San Diego Comic-Con 2022. Road to San Diego starts next week. We're going to dive into all sorts of stuff like panels, attending panels. Is it worth it? The off-site stuff. We're going to get into all sorts of stuff over the course of the weeks leading up to San Diego Comic-Con 2022. Right. Back again next Sunday. Thanks for you to joining us. Thanks to Declan Shalvey for his time. Do go check out his books, which he's got on the shelf. And indeed, check out what he does, because he's just an incredible creative artist and writer. And just well worth checking out. So there we go. For myself to you, I hope you have yourself a cracking week. And I will see you next Sunday for another Talkin Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. This one's been a blast. Same time next week, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.